Imagine becoming the only woman in Chinese history to rule as emperor. Not queen, not empress consort. Emperor. You survive the palace. You defeat rival families. You outlast ministers, princes, generals, and even your own children. You build a dynasty around your name. And then, when you die, you leave behind a stone monument almost 25 feet tall, weighing nearly 100 tons. Completely blank. No name, no achievements, no confession, no apology. For more than 1,300 years, people have stood before that empty stone and asked one question. Why would a woman who fought so hard to be remembered choose to leave no words at all? This is the story of Wu Zetian, China's only female emperor, and the blank stone that may be her greatest message. Wu Zetian was born into a world where power had a gender. Men inherited it, men explained it, men wrote it down. Women could stand near power. They could influence it. They could give birth to it, but they were not supposed to become it. At around 14, Wu entered the imperial palace as a low-ranking concubine. The palace was a beautiful machine built to consume people. One glance could change your life. One rumor could end it. Most women who entered that world disappeared into its walls. Wu did not. When Emperor Gaozong died, custom said her story should be over. Like many of his concubines, she was sent away to become a Buddhist nun. A quiet ending. A woman erased. But Wu Zetian came back. She returned to the palace under the next emperor, Gaozong, the son of the man she had once served. That alone was scandalous. But the scandal was only the door. Wu became Gaozong's favorite, then empress. Then, as the emperor grew weaker, the real power behind the throne. Because Wu Zetian did not just want influence. Influence still depends on someone else's permission. Wu wanted authority. The records around her rise are dark and complicated. Her enemies said she framed rivals, destroyed families, and used fear as a political weapon. One infamous story claims that her infant daughter died mysteriously in the palace, and that Wu used the death to accuse Empress Wang, her rival. Was that true? Or was it written later by men who could not accept a woman on the throne? That is the problem with Wu Zetian. Every story about her has a shadow behind it. The history books were written by people from a world she had humiliated. To them, she was not just ambitious. She was unnatural, and yet, she was also effective. She promoted talented officials, strengthened the examination system, and used religion, ceremony, informants, and political theater with terrifying skill. She understood something simple and brutal. Power is not taken once. It has to be performed every day. Then, in the year 690, Wu Zetian did the unthinkable. She declared herself emperor. Not empress, emperor. She created her own Zhou dynasty and placed herself at the center of the empire. A woman had entered a system designed to erase her and force that system to speak her name. So when she died, you would expect her monument to be loud, proud, and full of praise. That is what emperors did. They turned stone into propaganda. But at Qianling Mausoleum, where Wu Zetian was buried beside Emperor Gaozong, her great stone stele was left blank. And the silence feels deliberate. So why? The first theory is that no words were big enough. How do you summarize a girl who entered the palace as a concubine and ended as emperor of China? Maybe the blank stone was not humility. Maybe it was arrogance so large it needed no sentence. It was saying, "The empire is my inscription." The second theory is that she wanted history to judge her. Wu knew officials after her death would debate her, condemn her, and force her back into a shape they understood. So perhaps she refused to write her own verdict. She left the case open, not guilty, not innocent, unfinished. A written inscription gives you an answer. A blank one traps you inside the question. The third theory is darker. Maybe Wu knew that any words she left would be used against her. If she praised herself, they would call her arrogant. If she defended herself, they would call her guilty. If she apologized, they would say it was not enough. If she explained, they would rewrite the explanation. So she gave them nothing. No sentence to attack. No confession to twist. Every emperor used stone to speak. Wu Zetian used stone to refuse. But the most interesting theory is this. The silence was not empty. It was a trap. A blank stone makes every generation expose itself. If you fear female power, you see a monster. If you admire rebellion, you see a pioneer. If you study government, you see a brilliant ruler. If you study cruelty, you see a warning. Wu Zetian left no words and somehow forced everyone else to keep talking. Over the centuries, visitors, scholars, and later generations carved poems and inscriptions onto it. Wu left it blank. Humanity could not resist writing on it, almost like she knew we would. Almost like the monument was never meant to tell us who she was. It was meant to reveal who we are when we try to judge her. That is why Wu Zetian is still so unsettling. She does not fit cleanly into one sentence. She was not simply a monster. She was not simply a hero. She was brilliant. She was ruthless. Necessary to some, terrifying to others. And when eternity asked her for an explanation, she gave it silence. No defense. No apology. No final speech, just a blank stone standing in front of history. For more than 1,300 years, people have tried to decide what Wu Zetian really was. And the stone keeps giving the same answer, nothing, which somehow says everything. So here is the question. If you could carve one sentence onto Wu Zetian's blank stone, what would you write? Because after 1,300 years, we are still doing exactly what she may have wanted. We are still trying to finish her story.